developing, and where are some of the opportunities that are starting to exist as well. And before we give a quick introduction, first a thank you to you for tuning in. If you're liking what you hear, make sure you click subscribe, share the episode, and check out the archive on LATOKEN. This episode of VCTV possible. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop them in the chat at any time, and we'll do our best to ask them. And I'll love to hear hellos from around the world. And now with that, let's go ahead and introduce today's guest. Adrian, welcome back to the show. A little intro, a little background for everybody.
Hello, Kyle. Thank you very much for having me here again. I'm Edwin Niculescu, serial entrepreneur and investors. My genius zones are marketing, sales, and business development, and I love keeping my hands dirty in these areas. Besides my advisory roles and board membership slots, I'm actively involved with CloudCoin Consortium. CloudCoin is a post-blockchain digital currency. Faster Capital, a Dubai-based accelerator and incubator for startups. Saga Global Venture, which is a UK-based venture capital firm. And also I'm a mentor in Virgin Startups program in UK. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Adrian. Robbie, welcome back as well. A little intro, a little background for everybody.
Hi, I'm Robbie Young. I'm the CEO of Animoca Brands, and we are obviously focused on brands and blockchain games. So we're at the intersection of blockchain and games and NFTs, which are something that's on everybody's mind at the moment, and bringing games to the blockchain. We work with a lot of well-known brands like Formula One, MotoGP, you name it. And we have many different projects across the ecosystem of blockchain games. So we are interested to share those with you today.
Wonderful. And thank you very much. Last but not least, a dear old friend in terms of numbers of years we've known each other, not his age. Back from his vacation here on VCTV. Welcome back, Mark. It's a pleasure as always. A little intro, a little background for those who may not know you.
Hey, what's up, Kyle? Mark Lugo, Sports Kitchen, and Lat84 Coffee. Those are my principal focuses. I try to focus now. It's something you learn in the old age, but with a ever-changing world that changes almost every day, every hour. We don't know what direction we're going in, but one thing I do know, people will keep. One thing that this pandemic proved is that people will return to sports. Their interest in sports is definitely still something that they look for, and they drink coffee. I mean, I don't see Kyle with his Yeti mug, but I'm sure there's coffee in that mug somewhere, regardless of what the brand of the mug is. But yeah, I invest in different things. I was an early adopter of Bitcoin, but like most early adopters, we got rid of it when it hit about 20,000. So I'm not a billionaire yet, and but I'm still an observer of Bitcoin, especially the XRP and some of the other coins traded on LATOKEN. So I mean, with that, I'm always looking for new projects, always looking for people that are innovative, inventors, and a global mindset, but not a global controlling mindset. Kind of how do we get people in small communities to connect to this global network of business that's prevalent in today's world. And a shout out to Robbie. I love what Robbie's doing. He's one of the people
Thanks, Mark.
that I follow, and he's on his game, man. You're on your game, Robbie.
Thank
you. Out of bed and straight to your game, and that's what business is about. It's not about being pretty or, I see these guys, and I know most of these guys. They're on yachts and stuff, but they never show me what they're doing. I see what you're doing on Twitter. I see what you're doing on Instagram. I see what you're doing on LinkedIn, and it's all coming together beautifully, man. I love what you're doing, Robbie.
Well, hopefully that yacht is in the future then, Mark.
Well, hopefully, but I don't think it should be. I think people are getting, and I talk too much, Kyle, but I think people are getting focused on the material things and not creating material things that are going to eventually one day create jobs and create fortunes for a lot of people, part of that. So, I mean, we got to go back to that mentality, that Sears Roebuck mentality. They weren't creating fortunes, they were creating jobs. And eventually when someone comes in and create fortunes, they take those businesses that created a lot of jobs off the market. So that'll be a balance, brother.
Mark, you just gave me an intro. Can I jump in, Kyle?
Sure. Yes, you can. So, go for it.
Creating jobs. What I would say here is it's about creating a new ecosystem that creates jobs that maybe sound familiar but didn't exist before. So, for example, when we think about the idea of using blockchain in games, we're basically giving property rights to gamers because now they can own all of their Formula One cars or other collectibles inside games, their objects in the games as NFTs. And by giving them those property rights, then you beget a whole industry of other kinds of businesses that have to do with property rights. So for example, I'll use our F1 Delta Time game as an example. If you buy the car and then race the car on the track, you have other things that you can do with it. You can take the car and you can stake it with us. It'll go into a rental pool and it'll get rented out. You can take it and give it to an eSports team and they can use it in a play-to-earn manner to earn a living off of playing in the game to win challenges. And at the same time, because it becomes an asset, you can then take that and bring it over to the DeFi world and you can do things with it, like use it as collateral for a loan. There are all kinds of other things that you can do with it. You can shard it probably. So there are many other industries when you think about it, particularly finance-related industries that can help support this new sort of property rights for game assets ecosystem of NFTs.
And this is all just beginning. I mean, to your point, what you're doing with F1 Delta Time is just one example of many that we're starting to see in actuality, and some that are being teased out, right? We've got, again, NBA Top Shot, which is still the #1 DApp out there in terms of transaction volume right now. We have CryptoPunks. We have So Rare that's starting to enter into the football/soccer space, depending on where you may be tuning in from. That's bringing in these digital assets and then turning them into both a fantasy and real life game that bridges those two as well. So we're seeing more of this. And, Mark, would love to hear your thoughts on this as well. What are you seeing in terms of this world? What's getting you excited as an investor, seeing people wanting to come back to sports, then, having the insight and knowledge of this digital world we're living? Where's the balance, the excitement for you in this?
I think that sports has, my opinion, I think sports has finally found that value in what's already been done and not what's going to be done. If that's correct New York English. I don't know if it's correct English, but it's correct New York English, right? So, I mean, finding things like I remember meeting a guy who owned all the fights that were ever done at the Staples Center. And he was going around trying to pitch this archive, if you will, to different, ESPNs, ABCs, all those other guys, and they weren't really interested in it. So hopefully my friend Dino has digitized that stuff and is looking for, an NFT partner that could, that 1-2 punch that Marvin Hagler, rest in peace, who just died this week. Maybe he has that stuff. I don't know if Marvin Hagler ever fought in the Staples Center, but I'm sure he did. But I mean, I think the thing with sports and being an insider in sports and sitting with these big clubs and, they're 120 years old or whatever, you're dealing with people who are 80 years old. You know what I mean? So, I mean, when you're dealing with people who are 80 years old and their families are 50 who are running the show and the nephews are 30 and dumb, it's kind of hard to deal with those people because you're pitching the 30-year-old who thinks he knows everything. The 50-year-old is living the prime of his life, so he doesn't have a lot of time. And the 80-year-old keeps wanting to do it the way they did it in 1903. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to deal with those type of people and show them you're going to be left behind. And that's what's happening with eSports. eSports is on the go, it's fast, it's connecting with that 12-year-old and that 35-year-old and that 50-year-old. When you're sitting I've sat in rooms where they started the e-football Konami, with in Barcelona, and now I see people in Costa Rica, Mexico, little towns playing this game, and I'm like, that's where it's going. They're not tuning in to see LeBron's 316 shirt. They don't really care about LeBron. They care about LeBron when he slam dunks. But if LeBron is thinking, he's thinking about how does he digitalize LeBron, and LeBron could be sitting on his yacht and still be earning money, where he doesn't have to go out and earn, $100,000 a game. And if he gets hurt, all these other things, I'm sure I'm not going to get into the contract side of those things because they're covered for that. But I'm saying, how do you make money when you're not open Sears? How do you make money when you're not open Target? How do you make money when you're not open Macy's? We're talking about 3 major brands that we grew up with that are struggling without retailers. But on the other hand, you have Amazon. So how if sports was looking at this in retrospect, they would have been prepared for a lockdown, and they would have had eSports Champion League, they would have had an eSports this, they would have had an eSport, everything would have been digital, and they would have never really lost their fans, because the thing with fans now is the same thing that's happening with humans. They don't really care if it's, a digital guy playing against another guy or real people playing against real people. They don't care. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just entertainment. So what Robbie's doing is right on point with the way we are now, that it's on demand, it's anytime, it connects with the real sport. So the real sport follower is going to connect with the digital, and the digital is going to have an interest, not maybe a real big interest, but it's going to have an interest in seeing the real Lewis Hamilton race around the track or whatever. So, I mean, I think it's becoming a good marriage, and I think it's going to create another tier of something that we haven't seen yet. So it might become, where people go to the stadium and watch a digital game. Who knows? So on vacation, it becomes a revenue stream at FC Barcelona, Camp Nou, whatever, where, everybody's on vacation. Messi's on vacation, and they can go see a digital version of a Clasico from 1990 or whatever. So, I mean, it just, people are thinking now, and I think that's something that the pandemic has given us, where people have stopped to think a little bit and say, hey, this is where this is going, and people like Robbie had time to create those things, and other people, everybody on this panel. I don't remember his name too much, but I know.
Oh, Adrian. Yeah. And we saw that, Mark.
Adrian says a lot of things, huh?
He does. And just to chime in during the Super Bowl this year, we actually saw the interaction of a gaming experience, right? Instead of, I believe it was the Pro Bowl or the Hall of Famer Bowl. I apologize which one it was, but one of the normal games we would have during that Super Bowl week actually was played digitally, and they had quite a few viewers that tuned into it as well. And we had the 2K series on the NBA that a lot of people tuned into when it was starting up on the esports side, and we're going to see more around FIFA and its esports following as well. So I think you're right, calling out that digitization of sports moving into the esports arena, because I mean, Overwatch, Call of Duty bring 25,000 people in the United States, just mind you, right? For our audience, we're not talking about globally. We're just talking about in the US. They're bringing 20 to 25,000 people in a stadium, like the Barclays Center in New York, in Brooklyn, sold out. Right. I believe it was the Overwatch Championships. It was unheard of even a year and a half prior, or a year prior. So I think you're again calling it out. There's a new level of fandom where fans are looking for both the digital and the physical, gaming experiences that they had before. And next, I'll argue, and bring up to the conversation as well. The next is bringing all of that together so that we as fans, we as consumers, have not just the viewing of both, but we have the interaction of both, right? So when we go to a game or we go to an event, Mark, you and I've talked about this too on other episodes of when we go to these things, now we have that extra level of engagement, that extra level of connection. When I go to an F1 race, a Formula One race, not only am I watching my favorite racer race, but I know that I've talked to Robbie beforehand, and my F1 Delta time is linked to this race. So I'm actually earning, real time experience as what's happening in So Rare around football and soccer. But Robbie, go ahead. Sorry.
Sure.
And I know,
Well,
Mark, you have
I was
more
going to say, if you're watching your F1 F1 race and you happen to own Lewis Hamilton's car as an NFT, if he wins the race, that affects the value of the NFT you own, just because it's part of the provenance of it, because it's a representation of something in the physical world. But I think, Mark makes a good point, because I think his sort of line of discussion was really based on the idea of sports, as in traditional physical sports. Mm-hmm. But I think the interesting thing is now, the definition of eSports with the advent of blockchain in gaming changes the idea of what eSports can be, because of course it's not just the digital version of sports, it's actually any type of digital entertainment for which you can be a professional. And I think being a professional is typically defined as you can earn a living doing it. So as you said, Kyle, you can play Overwatch, you can play all kinds of big MMOs and make a living at it now. But with the advent of blockchain, you don't have to only play the biggest games in the world. You can also play more niche games, because any blockchain game has the potential for you to play to earn now, where there are rewards in game that can then be taken out of the game. Whereas obviously in traditional gaming, people get sponsorship for an esports team for Overwatch, and there are prizes given in tournaments. But if you just play a copy of Overwatch at home, you can't make money at it. I mean, you have to be in a professional league and you have to be chosen to be good enough. Whereas in a blockchain game, you just log on from home, and if you're good enough, then you're making money, which is how there are esports teams in the Philippines now literally supporting themselves on Axie Infinity, because, the economics are such that they can make enough, they can make a living wage in the game playing 5 or 6 hours a day.
Good living.
Yes.
Very good living in some cases. I mean, my goodness.
Yes.
Mark, anything to add? Thank you, Robbie, on that as well. But Mark, anything to add? I interrupted your point previously. So
No. I mean, I don't remember where I was going with this, but I want to add that the digital aspect of everything that Robbie is saying and doing, he's right on point, because having connected and having worked with professional athletes, I noticed where they are very kind of like a graphic designer would be, kind of a kind of project driven. So I mean, I think that's what happened with athletes. So I mean, as long as LeBron is playing basketball, he's worth something. But what happens to him after he's no longer able to play basketball? There's the same thing that happened with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is doing well, but I mean, there's other guys that entered the basketball scene, the NBA scene, made not even an eighth or a tenth or a 12th of what LeBron James made in one game, and they've invested that money, and now they own a lot of other physical businesses, Coca-Cola distributing companies, and I'm talking directly a guy, if you want to Google him, Ulysses Brigman.
Well, real quick on LeBron. Sorry, Mark, real quick. LeBron, actually, mentioning LeBron James for a moment, just joined, I believe it was Fenway Sports Organization, and now has ownership into the sports leagues that they're opening and a part of it. He even said today in a press announcement I had read earlier that he desires to own a team, basketball team, an NBA team, and right now he's already in some of the other leagues. I'll share it with you, but sorry, I just wanted to.
I mean, no, and I get that, and I mean, I like what LeBron is doing. He's got a great team behind him. I'm not 100% in agreement with his PR side, but his business side is on point. I mean, they're doing some incredible things. I mean, LeBron he's got some ownership in Liverpool, Roma, soccer. So he's looking at the future. Football is definitely where to invest your money right now. Soccer, there's no other sport except maybe racing, auto racing. F1 is going to become something that's going to be global. I mean, it's still a baby. You're not racing around certain cities. They tried in Miami a long time ago, like in 1990 or whatever, and I think it worked for a little while. But I mean, some things are just premature, and I think looking at how digital we can do this, now we can do an F1 digital race in Miami, sponsored by the city of Miami, right? And no permits needed, really, just licensing. So we can do that now, and it could be digital. Okay, what if Lewis Hamilton was to race around Biscayne Boulevard in Miami or Rodeo Drive in LA? I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen now. We just need people to think. We have enough people that are doing now and that can do, but they're not thinking how to be creative. Now we can sell a digital race to the city of Miami that's sponsored by the Florida Lottery. We can go get a lot of sponsors, right? And people are tuning all over the world. Now we can, Tiger Woods is home recovering, but he can play in a digital PGA tour tomorrow. And still, people are still going to bet on Tiger Woods because everything's still there. He's still Tiger Woods.
Tiger.
Digital, right? He's still TW. So I think it was a good time. The pandemic was a good time. I think 2020 was one of my best years ever in terms of being able to personal and just a lot of things. I mean, my son learned Chinese 1 year. So just a lot of things are happening that would have never happened if I was on that rat race running around, Paris this way, that way. And now I've been, kind of in one place or two places or three places in the last year. Normally it's 11, 12 places. Have time to do these type of things and just kind of just slow down and say, what's the future bringing? The future, I think Robbie is one of the people that I admire because I see people talk about things and they try. We all try, but I think Robbie has been, and every time I see his photo, I show my son, 13 years old, and I say, look, this is what happens when you focus.
Robbie, if you haven't picked up on it, we're all fans of you. Just if you haven't picked up on it, but truly what you and the team are doing is it's phenomenal, and it's a huge step forward for blockchain gaming as a whole in the industry. And for those who haven't checked out, I could not recommend more to check out what Robbie and his team have put together. There's also a number of others out there. Again, Dapper Labs, we've talked about NBA Top Shot and what they're building with the Flow ecosystem. We have Marguerite, coin artist, but also Neon District and what she's building at Barcade Games. With Matic Networks. There's a ton of great individuals building on the gaming circuit around blockchain and digital gaming. And to Mark's point, the blend of sports, gaming, and digital assets. We had Rob Gronkowski, NFL star, release a few versions of his limited NFT, selling almost $2 million. Patrick Mahomes, quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL, will be doing something similar, donating that money to charity. As well, and this is just the beginning of some of these areas, right? We're just in the beginning of that blend, and I think Robbie pulled it out very well in terms of where this industry could go. And we see the digital game. We've all played video games at some point in our life, and it was just playing. It was just entertainment. Now it's moving into that earning potential, and that blend is happening now, where we've got the superstars, and I'm going to give you that credit, Robbie, as Mark did as well. We've got the superstars like Robbie, like Roham at Dapper Labs, Marguerite at Neon District, and many others that are leading us in that transition, where more and more of us will start to enter that world. And there's many others, but I want to pause. Adrian, if you're there, and any thoughts on this industry that's progressing? I know you've had some connectivity issues, so if you can, a quick moment in, and then Robbie, I'll bring it back to you as well. But Adrian.
Yeah, I was kicked out. I would like to point out to the fact that Roblox was listed, became a public company last week, which I believe is a very important move in this industry. And actually, Roblox, for the people who don't know what Roblox is not a game, but it's a platform for designing and playing games. And it's very important that they have around 20 million games or experiences on the platform. And so many developers are making a lot of money from this. By the way, I'm with the two kids in my office, and one of them is a robot, You can see
with the
it's a
customer
Roblox
focus
game.
And all of them have more Instagram followers than you. I remember that.
Yeah, no, I
So,
completely agree with you, Adrian.
I'm looking at the new type of jobs and business opportunities appearing in this industry. And what is very important, when we played games, when we played video games, actually, we were just consumers. Now we can become also producers, and I'm always focused on this area. How can, as users, we can become producers? How new streams of income can appear, and of course, blending blockchain with gaming is one of the next big things happening under our eyes, I would say. It's amazing times.
Agreed. Robbie, go ahead.
I agree with you completely, Adrian, and I think that's a milestone. Everybody forgets, Roblox and Minecraft are by far and away the two most popular gaming experiences for kids and adults. And if we think back to a couple of years ago when all anybody could talk about was Fortnite and how their kids were playing nothing but Fortnite, and literally that's all you would read in magazines and newspapers: Fortnite. And during that year of Fortnite, let's call it, Minecraft and Roblox both grew. They grew in engagement, they grew in user base. So maybe every kid in the world was playing Fortnite, but they were still playing Minecraft and Roblox also at the same time. And Roblox, we have a title called The Sandbox, which is a blockchain-based metaverse. And the idea was very much inspired by Roblox because we think user-generated content is an incredible category, because we can never design anything that is as fun and as quirky and interesting as giving a big space to all the people in the world to do what they want with it. It's really open sourcing that creativity. And so I think what we tried to do with the Sandbox was take some inspiration from Roblox and say, look, here we're going to build a platform using blockchain technology because nobody's ever done this before. And the result has been that people can actually now build businesses inside the Sandbox because they just act like real estate developers in the physical world. They go into the Sandbox, they buy a plot of real estate, and then they need to develop it. They need to make a fun game or an activity or something there to attract people to come in. And once they do that, they find that engagement, they can sell things, they can open up a shop, and they can sell, avatars and things in the metaverse. So you can have a business. And at the same time, it increases the value of the property that they have bought and built that business on. So I think we can draw great parallels where people can enjoy spending time in a metaverse, but at the same time, be able to realize some of those financial benefits for all of the time they're spending. Whereas I think gaming has been great for entertainment for many years, but players could not really be rewarded in a monetary fashion for their engagement.
Well, you generated something within game, right? There was never necessarily an off ramp
Correct.
to the game experience, right? You went in, you spent money, you slid the credit card, or you swiped the credit card multiple times, but you weren't ever able to get anything in reward back because it was focused on entertainment. But exactly what all three of you are bringing up right now, the future, the next step, the metaverse that we're moving into will allow for the change of those dynamics more aggressively as well, which is exciting.
No, and I think it's always been part of society to have some sort of an engagement. I mean, back in the Roman times, I think, when it was time to bring someone to justice who did something wrong, they invited the town out, and the town threw apples and pears or whatever at the guy who was on trial and found guilty. And then fast forward to the 90s, you had Broadway plays that were determined by the audience. And now in 2020, 2021, we have games that are not only determined by the audience that's playing it or by the consumers, but they're also the producers that create the game to get other consumers involved. So, I mean, it becomes kind of a consumer producer thing, which is built into the way humans are built to live anyway. So I mean, so we produce our food and then we consume it. So I mean, that's something that's built into us. We want to consume and produce, and I think digitally is the perfect timing to do that, where we can be consumers and producers, right? So right now the four of us, we're consuming something that StreamYard or whatever it is. We're consuming that, but we're also producing content on that's going to be around till the end of time. Because what we do now could help someone 20 years from now. Something that Robbie did, or something that Adrian said, or I mean, Adrian's doing something that's honorable. He has his kids based around him. I mean, that's something we lost when people used to go to an office and their kid, those two kids want to be like daddy. And he's going to teach them indirectly. He doesn't have to show them this is what we do. He's doing it and they see it, and they're going to become one of those people that not camera shy, talk, do, and still have the family around. My wife and my son are out there. They're not in here, but they're out there. So they know what I'm doing and they know what I'm going to do after this. And there she comes with fresh fruits.
I mean, it's a family affair here at VCTV. This is great.
That wouldn't happen in an office, in a real traditional office. That wouldn't happen. So I mean, those type of things are the things that we have to be grateful for and build on them. And that's what thank God for digital, because digital allows that. If it wasn't for digital, the 2020 pandemic would have crushed the world. But digital took off because Zoom and StreamYard and all these other Google Meets and all these other things are now busier than they ever thought they were going to be. And the real producers came forward and said, hey, I can get this guy in the meeting now. I built a nice profile. He's going to take my phone call. He's going to take he's going to accept my email. That the real producer came through. And Robbie's one of them, Adrian, Kyle. I didn't know Kyle last year at this time, but now I feel like I know you. And if I see you in the street, I'll be like, yo, Kyle, yo, Mark, let me know that. You're going to be like, I don't know you, man. I don't know a lot of FTs now. I'm a baller now. But at the end of the day, man, it's really about who's producing, who's doing, who's trying, who's failing. I love the failers, people who fail a lot. They're the ones that actually they're figuring it out, man, because if you don't fail, you don't figure it out. So you have to fail and keep trying. And maybe some guy is watching Robbie from above and trying to figure out where he fails, what he's doing right. And then they go try to do it big and they don't have that passion that he has. So, I mean, I give everybody my decks and they can go and they can try them. And 8 months later, they're trying to do what I'm passionate about, and they can't figure it out and they fail 2 years later. I mean, we spoke about Meg Whitman, her failure. Maybe they stole that from somebody. I don't know. I mean, don't sue me, but maybe they took that from someone. It used to be R&D was research and development. Now it's rip off and duplicate. If R&D is rip off and duplicate. Hey, send me your deck. I'm interested. And then you see it 8 months later on their LinkedIn. You're like, wait a minute, that's my idea. But it's okay. I mean, I don't mind that because you have ideas every day and they grow and you develop them. But talking about esports gaming and entertainment, I think all of them are related. And I think one of the biggest aspects of digital sports is going to be the PASPA that passed in the United States with betting on sports, because it gives these guys like FanDuel and DraftKings, it gave them the opportunity to actually accept digital sports betting without having to be licensed, because that's one thing the legislators missed. You're not really betting on sports if you're betting on digital sports. That's not sports. Betting on sports is Pete Rose, like, is you going to hit a home run today or whatever. That's betting on sports. But betting on a digital version of Madden or NBA 2K, that's not betting on sports. That's just betting. You know what I mean? So betting is something else.
And sorry to interrupt you, Mark. Again, I apologize. I'm doing it left and right today, but there's actually breaking news I just got from Twitter that NFL execs have been in active discussions with potential partners to develop digital collectibles and an NFT strategy. as well. And teams have been told to check with the league on any discussions forward. And that's actually been shared out by Sports Business Journal. So it looks like one of the biggest leagues here in the world, but also the biggest league here in the United States, is pursuing now publicly a digital strategy around assets, collectibles, and NFTs, as we've been teasing out here as players have been testing this out as well. So it sounds like we're all on track and validating it for us. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I think what happens is, and this is something that happens everywhere, when you would say the word or the phrase or whatever, Bitcoin in 2015, for instance, people wouldn't even know what it is. And I think people are just jump, especially big organizations like the NFL, the NBA, they just jump on whatever is popular. And then they unpopularize it because they do it wrong. I think the winners at the end of the race are the Ubers, Airbnbs, the Amazons. Amazon went to Target, Amazon went to Macy's, Amazon went to Sears, and they all looked at him like he was crazy. And now he put them out of business. And I think these big organizations, they have so many filters and so many smart people that they don't have the Robbies. So Robbie's not doing it for a paycheck. Maybe he is, but he doesn't look like he's doing it for a paycheck. But at the end of the day, Jeff Bezos wasn't doing it for a paycheck. So, right. I mean, I look at those people. I look at the people that aren't doing it for a paycheck. And I deal with a lot of people that are doing it for a paycheck. And sometimes those are the filters that you don't want to deal with because they don't get it. And they're not going to put anything on the fire that might get them fired. So, I knock on those doors every day. And I've been knocking on those doors for years. And I took MMA to ESPN, ABC, Disney in 2006. And they said, we'll never put anything so graphic and horrible and violent on our networks. And, they went out and they scrambled, to get Spike and do other things. And now MMA is one of the fastest growing sports in the world next to soccer. So sorry, Mark, I don't mean to cut you off again, but we are coming close to time. So I need to come around for everyone for closing thoughts and where you can be found. So Mark, you've given a great closing thought. So where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation? And then we'll go around. I've been on marklugo.com since 1994. Mark Lugo at Gmail. I get offers for that from other Mark Lugos to buy my email. Just Mark Lugo. Just type Mark Lugo. There's 2 or 3 Mark Lugos. There's a pastor in Texas. There's the guy who stole the Picasso in Philadelphia somewhere. And then there's the real Mark Lugo, me. So, not to take anything away from the pastor and the thief, but I'm the real Mark Lugo, right? So you can find me, Mark Lugo, LinkedIn. You can find me. I follow Robbie on Twitter. You can just go on who follows him. You can find me. I follow Kyle. You can find me there. Mark Lugo at Twitter. You can find me anywhere. And just shoot me. 310-692-4080 is my phone number. Send me a text. I don't care.
There you go.
Right? I want to connect with the world, man.
Yesterday, Tom Brady gives out his phone number for fans to text him. Today, Mark Lugo does the same thing, ladies and gentlemen.
I love Tom Brady.
Thank you so much, Mark. Adrian, quick, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
My main communication hub is LinkedIn. So there is the best place. Just a very short closing thought.
Super short.
With so many people wanting to change careers, I believe it's our responsibility to give ideas about things they can shift towards. And this is one of them, participating in this industry. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you very much. Robbie, close us out. Where can everyone find you?
Cool. You can find me on Twitter. I put it on the right here. Where is it? Right there. So that's the easiest place. And please check out our stuff and have some fun. Check out Formula One F1 Delta Time. Check out Quid, our collectibles platform, and check out Tower, our new play to earn token for tower defense games. It's a new initiative. We literally just announced it yesterday.
Wonderful. Congratulations on the recent announcement as well. And to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, share the episode. Also, check out the archive to hear more from today's speakers and the whole speaker family of VCTV, of investors from around the world. But make sure you check out Robbie, Mark, and Adrian online. Connect with each and every one of them. Add context when you do, where you heard them, where you met them, what you would like to continue the conversation about. With that, a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making today's episode of VCTV possible. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Check me out as well, along with all of our guests online 24/7, 365 on all social media platforms. Everyone have a wonderful day. We'll be back here tomorrow with more VCTV.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you very much.